Hello everyone, welcome to a video tutorial for the St. Augustine Seaglass Throw. Now this blanket I'm using Bernat Maker yarn, and because it is mostly cotton, so it's 75% cotton with a little bit of nylon for a beautiful drape, it's going to be lovely for summer. It won't get quite so hot, and because it's a dense stitch, you're going to get a wonderful feeling of weight. If you like a weighted blanket or the feeling of a blanket on you without all the heat, this is going to be a great option for you. These stitches are dense, so they're not going to, if you want to make it for a baby blanket, it's safe. It doesn't have holes for little toes and fingers to get stuck in. All right, so let's get started. If you have your pattern, you have your starting chain in there, and if you want to follow along and just make the sample stitch with me, you can certainly do that. I have the pattern linked in the description. So Bernat Maker, this is a bulky category yarn. It's kind of in a league of its own. It's a tubing yarn, so it's not going to split, and it washes beautifully. It's very soft. And we don't need to worry about what they use to get their gauge on here. I've got my own hook size for the stitch, so we get a beautiful drape. All right, so for the swatch size, I'm using my 8mm hook, and I have chained 14 stitches. So we're going to do some setup rows. In the second chain from hook, pretty standard, going to work some single crochet all the way across. So I'm going to skip my first chain, go into the next, and when you're done, you will have 13 stitches for the swatch. Right now from here, row 2, going to chain 1, turn, and single crochet in my first stitch. Then chain 1, skip, and single crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next. All right, so I'm going to finish this across the row, and your last stitch should be a single crochet. Skip. All right, so I'm coming to the end, and you see I have 2 stitches, 1, 2 left. So I'm going to chain 1, skip, and work into that last one. That turn chain looks a little funky, but it is the last stitch. Let me see where that other loop is. There it is. In there, make sure I have both on the hook. Okay, there's my V. And pull through. Chain 1, turn, and I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to single crochet in the first. Now you're going to kind of stack your chain 1 spaces. Okay, so there's the space, chain 1, skip, make another chain 1, skip over that, and look for that V right here facing you, not at the top but here. That lets you know that that's a stitch. So I'm going to put my hook in there and work my single crochet. There's a chain 1 space here, so I'm going to chain 1, put another one over top of it, and work here into this V of the next stitch. There, V, that's a stitch. Hook goes right in there. And just continue across the row. Chain 1, skip, there's my V, put my hook in there. Chain 1, skip, single crochet. Chain 1, skip, single crochet, and our last chain 1, skip, and finish with a single crochet. There's that V, it's a little twisted. There it is. That should look like that. It's not exciting yet, but we're about to start making it really pretty. All right, so now I'm on row 4. So always chain one and turn your rows. And now we're going to do some version of a linked stitch. Right, so single crochet in first. And then now we're going to work in these spaces that were created in the previous 2 rows, linking them together. So we have this chain 1 space here, and then the row below is a chain 1 space here. Go into that first chain 1 space and pull up a loop. Then go down to the next chain 1 space from the 2 rows down, or yes, 2 rows down, and bring it up. So you're going to have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through. Now we need to create a chain 1 space over this stitch. So when I said last row, that V, that is the stitch. So we're going to skip over that and work into the next chain space, right? So we're going to create another chain space and go into the chain 1 space, and then to the one right below it, a chain 1 space. Okay, linking those stitches together. So you're spiking down, linking the 2 stitches. Chain 1, skip that V, work again. Chain 1 space and the chain 1 space below. Yarn over, keep everything loose, no buckling, okay? Chain 1, skip stitch, and then work into the space. Go down, chain 1 space below, 3 loops on hook, pull through, chain 1. And you'll still be maintaining that same stitch count. There's no adding or removing stitches, okay? Once more. Chain 1, skip, here's another and final chain 1 space of the row, 1 below, and we always start and end with a single crochet. Chain 1 turn, single crochet in the first, now we're going to work single crochet and chain 1 spaces. So we'll work a single crochet into the single crochet. We need to build up another stack of chain 1 spaces to work our next row on the opposite side. So after your single crochet, we'll look for our stitch, which is here. So it's a longer V because that was that kind of spiked down stitch. That is your stitch. Work a single crochet into that. And next is a chain 1 space right here. So we're going to create another chain 1 space over it. Here's a V, single crochet. Here's our next V, so we've got to make a chain 1 space before it. There's my chain 1, skip, and work my single crochet. Chain 1, skip, single crochet. Chain 1, skip here, single crochet. Space, so I'm going to chain 1 to create that second space stacked over each other, and single crochet. 1 stitch left, always start and end with a single crochet. All right, so that was row 5. Did you know I designed project trackers, large print and regular print for small, medium, and large size projects? The link is in the description to get your own, or you can try it for free. There's a download on my website, link in description. Now we're going to do row 6, chain 1 turn. And let's see what we've got. So this will be the same as the row before it, two rows down. However, we're going to stagger these linked stitches. All right, single crochet always in the first. All right, so here's a single crochet. So we're going to make a chain one, skip one over it so that we can get to the chain one space and work these linked stitches. Now, I went to first space. Let me get a little pointer. All right, so let's look closely. Where's your next stitch going to go? It's going to go right here. Here's that little cluster. So let me pull that open so you can see it. I'm going to go down into it, pull up my loop, pull through. Chain one, skip that stitch, and we'll go into the next chain one space. And there's my little spot where I put my hook, okay? Go in there, pull up your loop, and pull through. And now you see how the clusters are kind of staggering over each other. Okay, so I did my chain one, skip that, there's the V, that's a stitch. Next to it is the chain one space. Pull up, there's my space for my second insertion point. Yarn over, pull through. Chain one, skip. Chain one space is right here. Again, there's my little opening. Go in there, yarn over, pull through all three. Coming to the end, go into the space, pull up, pull through. Now we have two stitches left. This one here, it's kind of hiding behind this, but it's there. So that'll be a chain one, skip one, and then as always, we finish with a single crochet. And that's your repeat. Those alternating rows. This was row 6. So you'll repeat rows 3 through 6. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. 4 rows. And while they're almost the same, they just start and end differently. Right, so we start with the single crochet, and then here, since there's a chain one space, you create another one and work that single crochet on this side. So how you start and end before and after that first and last single crochet, you know, you might have might be a chain one, skip one, or it might be a directly working one of those stacked cluster single crochet stitches. So once you get set up, it's pretty easy to follow once you get into your rhythm. And then you just work out your length. So your starting chain is your width. And then next I'm going to show you how I make the tassels. So for mine that you see you see how I'm working the chain one, skip one, and then working single crochets into these V's. Sorry, I don't think I said what I was doing, but we've done this row already. They just start and end differently. And then here I'm at the end, there's a chain one space. I make another one and end with the single crochet. So for my blanket that you see, I wanted to do something a little different. So mine is 2 tones, it's 2 blocks of color. So when you look at your yarn guide for your amounts, you'll just of course divide that in half if you want to do a 2-tone. And then my tassels are 2-tone, and this is a borderless modern blanket. So if you want to do a border, you can feel free to add some kind of border that you like, but I wanted just tassels. I didn't want a formal border. I feel like that takes away from the stitch, but it's just personal preference. You do what you like. All right, so let me get my yarn and we will start making some tassels. All right, so before we do a tassel, I want to mention that when you're working this stitch, your project is going to start leaning in one direction. You're not doing anything wrong. This is what happens when you're not using the same stitches on both sides, and the one of the sides has more yarn being used. So for the row where these clusters are being made, these are using more yarn than the single crochet chain one skip one rows, right? Are you following me with that? So it's going to cause some leaning. It happens anytime you're doing link stitches with a different kind of a stitch on the other side. It's perfectly fine. You have to block it though. You know, you might be cringing when I say that, but that's the fix for it. So for a blanket, what I do when I block these larger pieces, I wet them down in a tepid water. I don't use cold, I don't use hot, just kind of a room temperature, you know, 80, even up to 90 degrees, like a summer day outside, how I describe it. Well, depending where you live. Where I live, sometimes it's 100 degrees in the summer, but not quite that warm, kind of in that 80-degree range, comfortable to the touch. And if you have it, a little fabric softener to really help loosen up the fibers so you can manipulate them into shape. Then do either a spin cycle. If you're doing it in your washer, do a spin cycle. You don't have to wash it with soap. Just get it wet, really wet block. Don't just mist it, don't steam it. You have to wet block this. Then I put it on 2 yoga mats for the size I made. This is a small throw size. And pin down the edges, kind of shape them, make sure everything looks good. And then I put just a little room fan that I have and let it blow on it. But because this is cotton, this is going to dry pretty quickly. It took about maybe 6-8 hours, you know, overnight. It should dry for you if you get enough water wrung out. Now, if you do not have a spin cycle, if you hand wash things, you know, everybody's different. I know not everyone has a washing machine. Roll it up in towels, really thick towels, roll to kind of wring out the extra water. Don't stretch it too much, although it's pretty sturdy. Just, you know, carefully get it to get into shape and get out as much water as you can. All right, then once it's dry, we're going to move to our tassels. So it's great that I have 2 colors because you're really going to be able to see what I'm doing. You can make your solid, you know, whatever you like. It's your blanket, you do what you like. But since I have 2 colors, I thought it would be fun to, you know, do the contrast. So for my tassel, what I do is this I wrapped on a DVD case. Those are about 7.5 inches the long way. So if you have a small book, if you don't have any DVD cases, I feel so dated using those, but I have several that I've had for years, even though I haven't used them. Everything's streaming now. Okay, and then before taking it off of the case, let me just use one of my notebooks. So these are a little bit longer. This is my project tracker, although I've updated the covers for this year. You know, wrap it around, but before you pull it off the top here, what I did was slide under a double thickness of yarn up here. Secure it and then pull it off. And I'll worry about trimming them later. Okay, these I'm going to use to attach to my blanket, and then to make the little gather here where I secure. Let me show you what I do. Leave a little bit of a tail out, gather it up. Make sure everything's smooth and straight. I'm going to wrap this around a few times. Okay, that's good. in here. Small hook, stick it up in there and bring that tail down, and then the same with the other one. Should be up here. Just in the opposite direction. Oops. I just trim it to lay flush with the base. And then, of course, you're gonna line these up and trim and make your edges even. They'll be a little slightly crooked, but you just trim them up like you're doing a haircut. Okay, and then I'm going to attach to my corner. Let me get my blanket. All right, so I'm gonna go into the corner here. Probably should use green for this top part, this top tie, but it's mostly gonna be hidden, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to just do one pass of a knot here to secure it. One more time, and then open this up. I'm going to work the ends in. I don't know if I can do it invisibly with this color. Let's see. I may have to take it out and put the green yarn in, but just so you can see what I'm doing, this is going to work nicely, and I'll pull it out if I have to. So this is going to be a do as I say and not as I do, possibly. If you do the two-tone, if you do all one color, this will not be an issue. But I had to be a little extra, so the price I pay. Make sure I'm not splitting this. Now it's not splitty yarn, but when you use a needle, you can sometimes break that chainette weave that's used for these. I'm gonna do two kind of weaves a little bit, and then take the yarn and go back in and pull it down through here like I did with the little green wrap area there. That's normally what I do with my tassels. Mostly invisible. With my other ones, I just wove the strands all the way around and through the blanket, and once I knotted it. So that's how I attach them. You may have a different way that you like, but this is just what I've always done. And then your blanket's done. Now, if your yarn is a little curly, like this one's somewhat curly because I took it, I had needed a new skein to make my tassels. The inside, where to do a center pull, it's kind of bunched up, of course. So you can just wet them and let them dry hanging, and the weight of the water will pull them straight. And then you're done weaving your ends. And you have a lovely, soft, drapey, summery blanket.